Anger. It's something we all know too well. That sudden rush of heat rising in your chest, the tightness in your throat, the pounding in your head as frustration takes over and suddenly you feel out of control. Maybe it's a harsh word from someone you care about, a traffic jam when you're already late, or an unexpected disappointment that shakes your day. You try to keep calm, but somehow anger sneaks in, twists your thoughts, and before you know it, you're reacting in ways you later regret. Does this sound familiar? If so, you're not alone. Now imagine for a moment what your life would be like if that anger never ruled you again. Imagine waking up each day with a quiet confidence, a steady heart, and the power to respond to any challenge with calm, clarity, and strength. Picture yourself not wasting precious energy on bitterness or rage, but instead channeling it into peace and wisdom. This isn't some far-off dream or mystical ideal. It's a real possibility, grounded in ancient wisdom that has guided countless people through life's storms for thousands of years. This is where Stoicism comes in. You might have heard of it before as some old philosophy from dusty books, but Stoicism is far from outdated. It's a practical guide to living well, to mastering your mind, and to achieving the kind of inner peace that no external circumstance can shake. The Stoics understood that anger isn't something that just happens to us. It's a choice. It's a reaction based on how we see the world and ourselves, and once we grasp that, we hold the key to never letting anger control us again. Today, I want to talk directly to you about this power, the power to break free from anger's grip and live with a heart at ease. This isn't about suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is fine when it's not. It's about understanding the root of anger, changing how you see things, and reclaiming control over your emotions. I'll share with you the timeless wisdom of Stoic thinkers like Epictetus, Seneca, and Marcus Aurelius, but in a way that feels personal, relatable, and above all, actionable. You don't need to be a philosopher to apply these lessons. You don't need years of study or meditation retreats. All you need is a willingness to look honestly at your anger, to question your assumptions, and to practice a few simple yet powerful shifts in how you think and respond. The journey toward inner peace begins with one small step, a choice to see things differently and to refuse to be a slave to your impulses. So, if you've ever found yourself trapped in a cycle of frustration, resentment, or rage, and you're ready to break free, this conversation is for you. Together we'll explore how to quiet the storm inside, how to transform anger from a destructive force into a teacher, and how to build a steady mind that no challenge can unsettle. Are you ready to never let anger control you again? Let's begin this journey toward lasting inner peace, guided by the wisdom of the Stoics and the strength that's already within you. Anger is one of those emotions that sneaks up on us, often before we even realize what's happening. But to really take control of it, we have to understand what it is, not just in a surface way, but deep down where it lives inside us. From the Stoic point of view, anger isn't just an unavoidable feeling, it's actually what they called a destructive passion. The word passion here doesn't mean something positive or motivating like we might think today. Instead, it refers to a kind of irrational, overwhelming force that disturbs the mind and drags us away from reason. The great Stoics believed that anger comes from false judgments. Our mind mistakenly tells us that something bad has happened, something unjust, something that demands an immediate, fiery response. When that happens, our reason gets hijacked, and the result is anger. Think about it. Anger is rarely about the situation itself, but about how we interpret that situation. Maybe someone cut you off in traffic. The car didn't actually insult you or attack you, it's just a car, but your mind might jump to conclusions. That person is disrespectful. They don't care about me, they want to ruin my day. Those judgments make anger erupt. When we give in to anger, it's like letting a wildfire spread uncontrollably. It consumes energy, damages relationships, and clouds our judgment. You've probably experienced the aftermath, saying things you didn't mean, feeling exhausted, even physically tense or sick. Anger doesn't just hurt others, it hurts us too. The Stoics saw it as a poison that disrupts the peace of the soul, and peace is what life is truly about. But here's the thing, anger is a reaction, not an automatic reflex. It's not something that happens to you without choice. At least, that's what the Stoics believed and what they trained themselves to live by. We may not be able to control every event or what others do, but we can control our response. There's a space, a brief moment between what happens and how we react. That space is where freedom lives. Understanding this is the first step. When anger rises, it's really your mind telling a story that may or may not be true. That story feels real, urgent, and unfair, but it's still just a story, and stories can be changed. The Stoics invited themselves and us to become detectives of these stories, to question what we believe about the world, to ask, is this really as terrible as I think? Does this situation demand my anger? Or can I choose something else? So what fuels these stories and judgments? Often it's our expectations that the world should be fair, that people should behave a certain way, or that things should go as planned. When reality doesn't meet these expectations, anger emerges like a knee-jerk reaction. The Stoics taught that these expectations are traps because the world is unpredictable and outside of our control. Clinging to how things should be is setting ourselves up for frustration and anger. When you see anger this way, you realize it's not an inevitable force of nature, but a signal. It's your mind's alarm system going off because something you believed was threatened or violated. But alarms can be false, or they can be disarmed. You have the power to stop that alarm before it explodes into rage. Now let's talk about perception, because this is where the real power lies. Epictetus, one of the greatest Stoic teachers, famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple statement flips the whole way we think about anger on its head. It means the event itself, the insult, the inconvenience, the setback, is neutral. What colors it as good or bad, frustrating or harmless, is your interpretation. Imagine two people stuck in the same traffic jam. One fuming, honking, filled with rage, their mind racing with worst-case scenarios. The other breathing calmly, thinking, well, this is an opportunity to listen to some music or podcasts. Same event, totally different reaction. The difference is their perception. Changing perception doesn't mean ignoring reality or pretending things are fine when they aren't. It means stepping back and observing the situation without the automatic rush to judgment. This is a skill that can be developed like training a muscle. The more you practice catching your mind before it jumps into anger, the more space you create to choose a different response. Here's a practical way to start. When you feel that surge of anger coming on, pause. Ask yourself, what exactly is happening? What am I telling myself about this? Is this thought true? Is it helpful? You might notice that many thoughts are assumptions or exaggerations. The other driver didn't cut you off to disrespect you. Maybe they just didn't see you. Your co-worker's comment wasn't meant to hurt. Maybe they were having a bad day. By questioning your automatic stories, you begin to break their power. You begin to see the situation more clearly and less personally. This reduces the emotional charge and makes anger less likely to take over. It's not easy, and it won't happen overnight. But with patience and practice, you'll find that your mind grows calmer and your responses wiser. You start to realize that your perception is not fixed. You have the freedom to choose how to frame your experience, and with that choice comes peace. So changing perception is a powerful antidote to anger, but it works best when combined with another crucial Stoic insight, the understanding of what is within your control and what is not. This idea is central to Stoic philosophy and life itself. It's called the dichotomy of control. Some things we can control, our thoughts, our judgments, our actions. Other things are entirely outside our control. What other people think or do, the weather, accidents, even many events in our own lives. When we forget this, we waste energy fighting things we cannot change, and anger is often the result. The secret to peace, then, lies in focusing your energy only on what you can control. When you encounter something that angers you, say a rude comment or a frustrating delay, ask yourself, is this within my control? Usually, the answer is no. The rude comment is the other person's choice. The delay is the traffic's doing. What is within your control is your response. By accepting that you cannot control the outside world, but only your inner mind, you remove the fuel for anger. You stop demanding that the world bend to your wishes and instead align your expectations with reality. This acceptance is not resignation, it is freedom. Practically, you can remind yourself daily, I control my thoughts and actions, everything else is beyond me. When anger threatens, repeat this truth silently. It helps you return to center, like an anchor in a storm. But acceptance isn't passive. It empowers you to respond wisely and effectively. When you focus on what you can control, your energy shifts from frustration to constructive action. If a coworker offends you, you control your words and attitude, and you can choose calmness over anger. If you're stuck in traffic, you can choose patience or use the time for something positive. This mindset requires practice. You'll likely forget sometimes and fall into old patterns of anger. When that happens, don't judge yourself harshly. Notice it, reflect on it, and gently bring yourself back to the dichotomy of control. Over time, this practice rewires your reactions, making anger less frequent and less intense. The dichotomy of control is a powerful tool for mastering anger because it reminds you where your true power lies. Inside your own mind. No one can take that from you unless you give it away. Now, this understanding sets the stage for cultivating another essential practice, the daily habits that keep you mindful and prepared to handle anger before it overwhelms you. Because knowing all this is one thing, but living it consistently is where real transformation happens. But before we get there, let's pause and let this idea sink in. Your perception shapes your reality, and your control is limited to your own mind and choices. Master these, and anger loses its grip. The next step is to develop mindfulness and reflection, not the fancy, complicated kind you might hear about, but simple, intentional awareness of your thoughts and emotions as they arise. This awareness is what the Stoics practiced daily, and it's what keeps anger from taking root. You don't have to wait for anger to explode before you notice it. Instead, cultivate a gentle, curious attention to your inner world throughout the day. Ask yourself, what am I feeling right now? What thoughts are running through my mind? This habit creates a gap between experience and reaction, giving you the chance to choose calm instead of fury. The Stoics used journaling as a powerful tool for this. At the end of each day, they reflected on moments when anger flared, asking themselves what triggered it, what they could have done differently, and how to improve tomorrow. This honest self-examination builds awareness and wisdom over time. You can start small. Just take a few minutes each evening to think about your day. Recall any moments of frustration or anger. What was the cause? How did you respond? Could you see any patterns or triggers? This practice helps you catch anger earlier and weaken its hold. Another way is morning intention setting. Before the day begins, remind yourself of your commitment to respond with patience and reason. Visualize challenging scenarios and how you will handle them calmly. This mental rehearsal prepares your mind to stay steady when real tests come. Mindfulness also includes simple breath awareness. When anger bubbles up, take a deep breath and focus on it. This physical anchor slows your reaction and helps your brain shift from fight or flight to a more thoughtful state. Through these daily practices, you strengthen the part of you that observes without judgment, that chooses how to respond, and that nurtures peace. This is the real work of taming anger, not fighting it head-on, but cultivating a steady mind that does not get swept away. Remember, no one is perfect. The goal is progress, not perfection. With each moment of awareness, you reclaim a bit more control and freedom from anger's chains. So as you continue this journey, embrace these mindful practices. They may seem small, but they're the foundation upon which lasting inner peace is built. And the more you practice, the more natural calmness becomes, until anger loses its power to disturb you. From here, we'll explore how to transform anger itself into a powerful teacher and tool for growth, turning what once felt like a curse into a path towards strength and wisdom. But first, let's make sure the foundation is solid, because true peace comes not from ignoring anger, but from mastering it. One of the most powerful tools the Stoics offer us to overcome anger is the idea known as the dichotomy of control. This concept might sound philosophical or complicated, but it's actually incredibly practical and simple. There are things you can control and things you cannot. The secret to peace lies in focusing only on what you can control and letting go of what you cannot. Think about it this way. You cannot control how other people behave, the traffic on your way to work, the weather, or unexpected challenges that pop up. These things are completely outside your influence. What you can control, however, is your own mind, your thoughts, your judgments, your responses, and your actions. When you realize this, it's like a light turning on in a dark room. Anger often arises because we try to control what is uncontrollable. We get upset because someone said something hurtful or because life didn't go the way we planned. But trying to control these things is like trying to stop the wind with your hands, exhausting and impossible. When you fight the uncontrollable, you set yourself up for frustration and anger. The Stoics taught that peace begins with accepting this truth. When you encounter a frustrating situation, ask yourself, is this within my control? If it's not, then the only wise response is to let it go. This doesn't mean ignoring problems or becoming passive. It means choosing where to put your energy. You can control your attitude, your patience, your calmness. Focus there. For example, imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Your initial reaction might be anger. How dare they? But if you remind yourself, I can't control their driving, but I can control how I respond, suddenly the situation loses its power over you. You can choose to take a deep breath, let it go, and keep calm. That's your power. This principle applies to every situation that triggers anger. The more you practice focusing on your own control, the less you waste energy on frustration and rage. It rewires your brain to accept reality as it is, rather than how you want it to be. This acceptance isn't weakness, it's freedom. One way to practice this is by mentally separating what's inside your control from what's not throughout your day. When a challenge arises, pause and ask yourself, can I control this? If the answer is yes, act wisely and with virtue. If not, practice letting it go immediately, reminding yourself that peace lies in acceptance. You'll find that this mindset reduces anger drastically because you stop fighting the inevitable. It also prepares you to handle difficult situations with clarity and strength, not impulsive emotion. But awareness and acceptance alone aren't enough to fully master anger. We need practical daily habits that help us stay grounded and prevent anger from taking hold in the first place. The Stoics were experts at this. They practiced mindfulness and reflection every day, not as a trendy concept, but as essential training for the soul. Mindfulness, in a Stoic sense, means paying attention to your thoughts and emotions as they arise, without immediately reacting. It means catching the first flicker of anger before it explodes. This is like noticing smoke before a fire starts, giving you time to act wisely. You don't need complicated meditation techniques for this. Just develop a habit of gentle self-awareness. Throughout your day, check in with yourself. Notice what you're feeling and thinking. When you feel tension or irritation, don't push it away or feed it. Just observe it. At the end of each day, the Stoics recommended a simple but powerful exercise: reflection. Think back on moments when anger appeared. What triggered it? How did you respond? Could you have reacted differently? This honest self-examination sharpens your awareness and helps you learn from experience. Try setting aside a few minutes each evening for this reflection. Write down your thoughts if you like, or simply think them through. Over time, this practice strengthens your ability to recognize patterns and catch anger earlier. Starting your day with intention is also vital. Before you begin, remind yourself that challenges will come, but you have the power to remain calm and reasonable. Visualize difficult situations and imagine yourself responding with patience and wisdom. This mental rehearsal prepares your mind to stay steady when tested. When anger strikes unexpectedly, a simple breath can be your anchor. Take a slow, deep breath and focus on it. This physiological action helps shift your brain from the fight or flight response to a calmer, more thoughtful state. The more you practice these small habits, mindful awareness, daily reflection, morning intention setting, and breath focus, the more natural calmness becomes. You begin to build a mind that doesn't get swept away by anger, but stands firm like a tree in the storm. None of this is easy. You will forget, slip up, and get angry sometimes. That's human. The key is not to give up or judge yourself harshly. Instead, notice when it happens, learn from it, and gently bring yourself back to practice. These daily rituals are the backbone of the Stoic approach to anger. They prepare you not just to react differently in one moment, but to transform your whole way of being. They make inner peace a habit, not just a hope. With this foundation in place, anger loses its power because you no longer give it a foothold. You become the calm center in a chaotic world, choosing your response rather than being controlled by emotion. In the next part of our journey, we'll explore how to turn anger itself into an opportunity for growth, strength, and wisdom. Because when you learn to face anger with a new mindset, it stops being a foe and becomes a powerful teacher. But for now, focus on this: mastering control over what you can, practicing daily mindfulness, and letting go of what you cannot change. This is where your freedom begins. What if I told you that anger, the very thing you've been struggling to control, could actually become one of your greatest teachers? This might sound strange at first because anger feels like an enemy, a wildfire threatening to burn everything down. But from the Stoic perspective, every challenge, including anger, holds a hidden opportunity. When approached wisely, anger can become a tool for growth rather than destruction. Think about it. Anger often arises because something feels wrong, unjust, or threatening. It signals a boundary being crossed or a value being challenged. Instead of pushing anger away or pretending it doesn't exist, the Stoics invited themselves to face it head-on and ask, "What is this anger teaching me?" This shift changes the whole game. Instead of anger controlling you, you control anger. You turn it from a blind reaction into a conscious lesson. For example, anger might reveal impatience, unrealistic expectations, or areas where your virtues need strengthening, like patience, tolerance, or courage. Recognizing this lets you grow stronger, wiser, and more resilient. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most famous Stoics, often reflected on how adversity, including anger, was training him like a wrestler trains their body. Every difficult moment was a chance to practice being better. The same applies to you. When someone offends or frustrates you, you have a choice. React with the same anger and continue the cycle, or see it as a test and respond with calm and wisdom. This doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending you don't care. It means recognizing anger as a signal and deciding how you want to use it. Instead of allowing anger to poison your mind, you use it as a call to examine yourself and grow. When you embrace this mindset, anger loses its power to harm you. It becomes a mirror reflecting your inner state and a guide showing where you can improve. This perspective also helps you stay humble and compassionate, understanding that everyone struggles and everyone makes mistakes. So next time anger arises, pause and ask yourself, what is this teaching me? How can I use this moment to become stronger and wiser? That question transforms frustration into fuel for your personal growth. Now, it's important to address a common misconception about Stoicism. Many people think Stoics are cold, unemotional, or unkind. Nothing could be further from the truth. In fact, the Stoics believed that true strength includes compassion and forgiveness, essential qualities that heal anger and restore peace. When someone triggers your anger, it's often because of your judgments about them. You see them as wrong, disrespectful, or harmful. But what if you tried to look beyond that and recognize their humanity? Everyone carries struggles, wounds, and blind spots. Compassion doesn't mean excusing bad behavior, but it does mean understanding the complexity of others and not letting anger consume you. Forgiveness is another powerful Stoic tool. Holding on to anger is like carrying a heavy burden that drags you down. Forgiveness frees you from that weight. It doesn't mean forgetting or ignoring what happened, but choosing to release the grip anger has on your heart. Practicing compassion and forgiveness takes courage. It requires you to step outside your own pain and see the bigger picture. When you do, anger begins to melt away, replaced by kindness and peace. You can start small. When someone irritates you, try to imagine what might be going on in their life. Remind yourself that everyone is fighting battles you don't see. This simple shift softens your heart and dissolves the sharp edges of anger. Also, don't forget to extend this kindness inward. Often, we are our own harshest critics and hold anger toward ourselves for mistakes or flaws. Practicing self-compassion is vital. Treat yourself as you would a dear friend with patience, understanding, and forgiveness. Through compassion and forgiveness, anger loses its power, and you open the door to lasting inner peace. It's not weakness, it's a courageous choice to rise above reactive emotions and embrace a more loving way of being. Remember, Stoicism is not about suppressing emotions, but mastering them with reason and kindness. By cultivating a compassionate heart, you not only heal yourself, but also create a ripple effect that transforms your relationships and the world around you. So as you continue your journey to never let anger control you again, carry compassion and forgiveness as your allies. They are the antidotes to anger's poison and the keys to a peaceful, joyful life. As we bring together all these lessons from the Stoics, it's essential to root yourself deeply in the virtues that form the foundation of this philosophy. Wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance aren't just abstract ideas. They are practical qualities that shape how you live and respond to life's challenges, including anger. Wisdom teaches you to see things clearly, to distinguish what is within your control and what is not. It guides your perception and helps you question the judgments that fuel anger. Courage gives you the strength to face difficult emotions and situations without fleeing or reacting impulsively. It's the bravery to pause, reflect, and choose a better path. Justice reminds you to treat others fairly and with kindness, recognizing their humanity and fallibility. It moves you toward compassion and forgiveness instead of bitterness and blame. Temperance, the self-discipline to moderate your impulses and desires, is the shield that protects you from being overwhelmed by anger or any destructive passion. These virtues work together to create a mindset that naturally resists anger's pull. They become habits, ingrained ways of seeing and responding to the world. Cultivating them daily means committing to growth and self-mastery, not because you have to, but because it leads to freedom and peace. One way to internalize these virtues is through daily affirmations or reflections. For example, remind yourself in the morning, "Today, I will choose wisdom over impulse, courage over fear, justice over judgment, and temperance over excess." Visualize yourself embodying these qualities in the moments when anger threatens. Over time, these affirmations anchor you. They shape your identity, so when provoked, you act from your values rather than your emotions. This is the heart of a stoic mindset, a calm, steady presence that no external event can shake. Now, to help bring this alive, let's look at some real-life stories where people mastered anger through stoic principles. History is full of examples, from emperors to ordinary people who faced immense challenges yet remained composed. Take Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who ruled during wars, plagues, and political chaos. Despite enormous pressures, he kept a journal where he reminded himself daily to remain calm and just. When people around him acted unfairly or insulted him, he chose patience and understanding instead of anger. His writings continue to inspire millions because they show how one can face hardship without losing inner peace. On a more everyday level, think of someone in your own life: a parent dealing with a difficult child, a manager facing a stressful workplace, or a friend navigating personal conflict. By applying the Stoic dichotomy of control, mindfulness, and compassion, they can respond with calmness instead of fury, diffusing tension rather than fueling it. These stories remind us that mastering anger is not about perfection. It's about progress and persistence. You might stumble, but every time you choose peace over rage, you strengthen your mind and heart. You can also create your own stories by practicing stoicism in your daily life. Notice situations that usually trigger anger and consciously apply these teachings. Over time, you'll build a reservoir of calm that carries you through even the toughest moments. This journey requires patience and kindness toward yourself. Change doesn't happen overnight, but with commitment, the transformation is profound. You become someone who lives with dignity, grace, and peace, a powerful example to others and a gift to yourself. So as you walk this path, remember these stories, draw strength from the virtues, and commit to practicing daily. Anger will come, but it will no longer rule you. Instead, you will stand firm, guided by wisdom and compassion, free to live your best life. Now, as we come to the close of this journey together, I want you to hold on to one powerful truth. You have everything it takes to never let anger control you again. The wisdom of the Stoics is not just ancient philosophy, it's a living guide that, when embraced, transforms your life from chaos to calm, from reaction to response. Remember, anger is not your master unless you allow it to be. Every moment you choose to see clearly, to accept what you cannot change, to breathe deeply before reacting, and to respond with compassion, you reclaim your power. You step into a new way of being, one rooted in inner peace, strength, and freedom. This path won't always be easy. Life will test you with provocations, setbacks, and moments that stir your old habits. But each challenge is an opportunity to practice, to grow, and to deepen your peace. Keep returning to the principles we've explored: the dichotomy of control, the power of perception, daily mindfulness, compassion, and the virtues of wisdom, courage, justice, and temperance. You are not alone on this path. Countless people, from emperors to everyday heroes, have walked it before you and continue to walk it now. Their example shows that lasting peace is possible, not by avoiding anger, but by mastering it. So I invite you now to make a commitment, not just for today, but for every day going forward. Commit to pausing before reacting, to questioning your judgments, to embracing acceptance and compassion. Commit to the daily practices that strengthen your mind and heart. When anger comes, and it will, meet it with the calm and clarity that is your birthright. Let it be a signal to pause, reflect, and choose peace. You have the power to live a life free from the chains of anger. This power lives within you right now, waiting to be claimed. As Marcus Aurelius said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Let this be your guiding light as you move forward. Thank you for taking this journey with me. May your days be filled with calm, your heart steady, and your spirit free. You deserve nothing less than inner peace, and now you know how to achieve it.